Buff Nation, we're live. What's going on? I hope you guys are having a great hump day, great Wednesday. This video is going to be a lot of fun. Definitely want to know your thoughts on it, so be sure to get in on the conversation. But we're going to talk about some of the big risers right now from Coach Prime and Colorado's fall camp so far. And I think that these names that I'm going to talk about, I think they're going to highlight the player development that has been in effect now kind of coming to fruition with some of these guys that have, in some of these guys' cases have been with the program for like going into their second or third year now. So I've been very, very surprised with some of these things, with some of these players. So let's go ahead and get into some of the surprises that I've seen on the depth chart in terms of play, with what we've been able to see from practice, what coaches are saying. And of course, y'all be sure to smash that like, subscribe. And like I said, join the conversation. We also got Buff Blitz going live tonight at 7 Mountain Time, so be sure to tune in for that. But we're going to start right now with Quencey Wiggins. And Quincy Wiggins transferred from LSU a little while back. We have not seen him play much. And I didn't even realize this until this story was posted from Colorado like a little while back on their official Twitter page. I didn't realize, even though he was the number one recruit coming out of Louisiana in, I think, 2021 or so, he had only played 2 years of football. Started playing was a basketball player until his junior year, which is insane. And so he's got 2 years left as a redshirt junior, and we'll get into exactly how hyped I am about this. But let's have him say it first.
Coach in Kentucky came to me and said, if you play football, I'd offer you right now. Instantaneously, I went to learn football or whatever. Recruitment process picked up for me. I ended up going to LSU. It was a rough process, switching from high school to college in such a short time and not even having that much experience. Off the gate, I was already behind, so I kind of needed somebody to believe in me and push me and just show me the routes. And I felt like over there I didn't have that, so I made the change over here, Colorado. That's where I met Coach Prime, and instantaneously he showed me love and reassured me, let me know that I can be a player. When I was losing a little bit of faith in myself, he made sure to, lift me up or whatever. Always making sure to, just always uplifting words to me, and that's how I'm able to just go out there and work hard for him every day. Because it's a blessing to me and my family for somebody like him to just believe in me and push me in. So for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm gonna always go hard for him. I'm gonna keep getting better. I'm gonna keep climbing to the top. I ain't gonna ever stop.
Wow. Obviously, no one could have said it better than Quincy Wiggins himself. Needing to change up his situation, needing to be in a more supportive environment to where he could be coached and have that confidence instilled in him. And, I think he's battled some injuries since his time here, and he hasn't gotten a ton of playing time at the Power 4 level yet. I mean, when we take a look here at what he's done just snaps-wise on defense, did have 20 snaps this past year and did show out, had some good plays against UCF and Utah specifically, but you saw a little bit more playing time in 2024 for the Buffs than compared to what he had at LSU with just 16 and 23, but that was a decrease from 37 his redshirt freshman year. And so, we've kind of wondered, all right, we know that Quincy Wiggins is kind of like a project in terms of his development as an edge. Are we going to see that to fruition? And I think we have seen him in the well-off videos, in the Reach the People videos, now starting to rotate in with the ones. And I've really loved what I've started to see. And of course, the coaches have absolutely loved this. Let me pull up this quote here from George Hilo, who coaches the edges, courtesy of Scott Proctor. He said regarding Quincy Wiggins having a great camp, quote, his attitude and effort has been tremendous every day. We have a good rotation going right now, and he's gotten some reps with the ones. And again, this might be our deepest room on the whole team. Probably that or wide receiver, like when it comes to the defensive line, edges, and then wide receiver. It's probably one of those two groups. But if we can get a productive, explosive Quincy Wiggins off the edge, that's just like playing with house money, I feel like, at this point. And courtesy of Jackie Truth, posting this the other day. Yeah, Quincy Wiggins on fire. And yeah, he has been playing with tremendous effort, personality, and yeah, after every big play he's making, you can see he's fired up about it, making a play there. Oh, I love this play. Courtesy of Nikhil Webb-Walker, 58, coming in there with the assist on that tackle for loss. But this is against some really good linemen. You got Zy Chrysler out there. I think you got Lovelace, who started for Northwestern this past year. So to see these guys having success against, in my opinion, these are quality offensive linemen, getting Dallin Hayden down there for the tackle for loss out of those guys. I mean, that's wonderful to see. And so he's somebody that I'm going to be keeping an eye on, just in terms of the development that George Hilo is doing with the edges. Again, as a guy who was kind of considered a raw prospect, like a freak athlete, so to speak, that probably, oh, hey, Jackie, I thought I was following you, dude. There we go. That was a little bit more of a project. When somebody's going into their redshirt junior year, which is what Quincy Wiggins is doing right now, I mean, this is when you're really expecting him to make a substantial jump. Now, 6'5", 265 pounds. He's been in the system now for, going into his second season. I mean, this is wonderful stuff. So let's see him show out. Again, we lost Taj McCoy, right? A guy who was taking rotational reps at the edge position. But, a guy like Quincy Wiggins, he potentially has an even higher ceiling. You might say, well, Dave, he's a little bit older of a college player. Is there really much ceiling left there? Yes. We're talking about college football, man. You can have that 4-year breakout. You can have that 5-year breakout, man. I do not care about age when it comes to, like judging what a player has left in college football, man. All these guys are young for the most part, unless they're like 27, right? So Quincy Wiggins, probably the top riser right now, I think, on the depth chart. That's something to keep an eye out. Like, he is getting rotational reps with the ones. You'll love to see it. And again, I feel like we have a very, very good defensive line edge room with guys like Arden Walker, Samuel Okunloa. Those guys are probably starting for us. But then you're going to see Keaton Wade used quite a bit. You're going to see Quincy Wiggins part of things. And you're definitely going to see true freshman London Merritt, number 44, in there making plays as well. So, yeah, I know I'm probably forgetting somebody. Yeah, like Nikhil Webb-Walker could be a productive player for us off the edge. I think we're going to be, again, like 5-6 deep at the edge position right now. Absolutely love that. And let's get into a few other guys that have been impressing me throughout what we've seen with fall camp. Of course, Arden Walker going into his final year. I think he should be a team captain, or as Coach Prime does it, a dog or a leader on this defense. And yeah, what Coach Elo said, the thing about Arden Walker is he leads by doing. To me, that's the best form of leadership, and he's making great plays. That's one of the best ways to lead is, show your team how it's done, right? Another guy, I didn't have a quote pulled up for this, but another guy who I think has been really impressing, and I think whether it was Anquin himself or maybe Coach Sapp talking about him, but just how Anquin Barnes, man, he has lost a lot of weight. Coach Swayze has done, incredible things with the roster, and particularly with Anquin Barnes, was at 340, lost a lot of that bad weight, seems to have added a lot of strength, but has cut down to like 310 pounds. So he's moving quicker, and I think that we're in for a really good year from Anquin Barnes, his best year so far. And again, we saw him, let's see, 13 total tackles this past year, but I think, again, we're going to see him develop and have the best year of his career so far, being a transfer from Alabama, a couple seasons ago. So love to see that. And another guy that I've been so impressed with the player development, I feel like he has taken another step going into his second year with the Buffs, has been Tawfiq Thomas. And I love the vocal leader that he is. I love that, he's got, how do I say it? He plays with an edge, man, where like it's borderline, like this man is insane out there. But that's kind of the attitude that you need to have to be good at on the defensive line, right? You got to have that dog mentality. You got to maybe be, a little insane, right? I love the personality, the swagger, the attitude that he plays with. And I mean, like when you're even just looking at player development with Tawfiq Thomas, you saw him, again, not the best grades and even usage at Louisville, but then you saw at Colorado, his usage went up and also his production. And it had the first sack of his career this past year, 4 quarterback hurries, 6 total pressures, and then also had 14 tackles from inside. And really his pass rush made a nice jump there, almost 11 points via PFF, but in the run defense, 14 points as well. Again, take those grades with a grain of salt, but I think that goes to support, I think, what a lot of us saw just watching the games last year, that like, man, Tawfiq Thomas is better than I thought. Like that's what I was thinking throughout the season last year. And man, I'm real excited to see what's happening with these guys. But ultimately, I love to see the risers like Quincy Wiggins being a part of the program. Now working with the ones in certain situations. I think that's a beautiful thing. You're talking about guys like Tawfiq Thomas that might have been on the lower end of the rotation last year, now elevating themselves to being at the top of the rotation at the interior D line, along with Anquin Barnes. I think that is a beautiful thing. And then also just seeing some other development that we've had. Of course, we've talked ad nauseum about Omarion Miller. I think that he's the prime example, a guy that has just come in, and again, haven't seen a ton of him because of injury, but it seems like he has just gotten better and better every single year. So yeah, I'll get to your guys' comments on this, but let me know, like, what have you thought about the development that you've seen from Coach Prime and this staff? Might as well throw Micah Welch in there as well, because I think he's really running a lot more decisive, and I think he has really taken hold of the coaching from Marshall Faulk. Again, I know that and some of this criticism I feel like is justified. You want to see Marshall Faulk like get those big time running back recruits, right? But the biggest thing or the thing that's going to be the biggest pitch for Marshall Faulk rather to these recruits is the way he's coaching up the guys that he has in the room. And I feel like he's going to be able to extract a lot more potential out of these backs than maybe what we've been capable of doing in the past, whether that's been with coaching, offensive philosophy, and offensive line quality or lack thereof. So yeah, I'll get to a few of your comments. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving this, what we're seeing. So let's see here. Hey, TK, what's going on, man? Eric saying, David, do you really think a 2-quarterback system will work? It wouldn't be the system. It wouldn't be the way that I would do things, man, but I'm just one guy. It can be done. It has been done successfully in the past, but this is something that Coach Prime and the staff, they're going to have to walk very carefully, because you want to be sure to communicate well. And you don't want to put the quarterbacks in a situation to where they don't feel like they have any leash. If they're playing like stressed out that, hey, they're going to be benched if they do this or that, there's a fine line to walk with that. So again, it wouldn't be like my preference. I think I'd rather just have Julian come up and mop up duty for the most part, but I'm not privy to all of practice. Like, I don't really know how close this quarterback battle is. We just get to see what we see on YouTube, which is, signed off by Prime and all those guys. But I think we've seen Kaidon Salter mainly just working with the ones, Julian more working with the twos. And again, I do think based on what everybody's saying that's actually connected to the team, we're going to see both of them this year. Uh, what situations they put Lewis in, I got no idea, man. All right. Kai Moore, man, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Yes. Yes, Andy. It is Quincy Wiggins' agenda on the thumbnail. I had to lead with that, man. And again, I just love to hear him talking about how he needed to be in a new situation to where he was getting the coaching to instill the right confidence and belief in him. And again, Coach Prime, incredibly personable. He's not one of those coaches, those CEO head coaches that doesn't know his roster. It's just not the case. No. He knows all these guys personally, man. We're going into year 3. He knows all these guys. And I love how throughout the depth chart, man, these players talk about how much Coach Prime cares about them. And it all stems from the top. I think the good energy that we have, the good chemistry that we have on this team, good vibes all around. It stems from the top with Coach Prime, and it's trickling down. He's setting the tone. And Quincy, when you're in, this is true for a lot of people, whether it's sports or not sports, when you're in a situation to where you feel supported, believed in, you're allowed to make mistakes for the purpose of being coached up, getting better, you're going to thrive. And I think Quincy Wiggins right now he might be the best example on the defense right now of a guy who has come in a little raw, bought in, and maybe the process has been a little bit longer than maybe some of us has expected. But a year plus in now, you're starting to see the fruits of that. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And yeah, there's snaps to go around for this edge room, man. Hey, what's up, buddy? Hope you're doing well. P. Holland, I always share subjects about Quincy with his mom. Well, I hope he enjoys or she enjoys this video, not Quincy, because Quincy should be busy not watching my videos, right? But yes, thank you for that, P. Holland, and hey, hope you're doing well. And BC saying I think he dropped some weight too. He might have, and yeah. 6'5", over 240 edge. That's always a good prospect. And Paul Simmons knows, former LSU, he's got to be good. He was the #1 recruit in Louisiana just maybe 4 years ago or so. Taking some time to redshirt. He still has 2 years of eligibility. So, and somebody said this on Twitter. I think it was Manny on Twitter. Forgive me if I got the name wrong, but yeah, Manny is saying you still got 2 seasons. There's plenty of potential with his athletic upside to make a strong case for him being an NFL draft pick, man. Absolutely. Echo that media saying you've liked the development of Hughes as well as Jeremiah Brown, I'm guessing, over at linebacker. I've loved what we've seen out of Jeremiah Brown, Reggie Hughes, Martavius French. Those guys are exciting. And then I've also liked what we've seen out of the other Salter brother, Kylan Salter. Coach Swayze might have been the most important hire all year. I know somebody said that in the comments when I was talking about Marshall Faulk, but yeah, Coach Swayze, he might be the best one because, I thought that we were in good condition last year, but it's clear our strength and conditioning is elevated again. And what a hire! What a hire! Credit to Rick George, the program, the institution for hiring all these coaches. We are no longer a poverty program, baby. It's a beautiful thing, man. Hey, what's going on, D-Time? Hope you're doing well. Hey, speaking of Manny, let's freaking go. Appreciate it, man. Y'all go subscribe to Manny. I can subscribe, only 21 likes. Hey, let's get it up to 49 for Quincy. How about that? Gennaro, man, 77. Jordan Seaton, the franchise, baby. And I think that we have seen him take another step in his development. And what I want to say is I absolutely love the leader of this team that he has become. When you got a leader like that on the offensive line, that is a special thing. Now, speaking of the offensive line, I've started to notice this. You guys tell me if you've noticed it too, or if I'm tripping. We saw Cooper Lovelace take some second string center snaps, right? Earlier this week. That's going to be something to monitor on if this battle between him and Zarian McGill actually, becomes a battle. It's going to be interesting to see. Yes, we got more size, depth this season. Yeah, and again, it's like I don't know how this season's going to turn out, guys. But if you don't think this team has potential to like do some damage this season, I mean, you're crazy. We were better in the trenches on both sides of the ball. We're better with the coaching. We're better with the strength and conditioning, and we got some dynamic quarterback play. That should be a lot of fun, man. No doubt about it. Lady C, go subscribe to Lady C. Welch will get even better. And again, listening to his press conference on Monday, hearing him talk about just developing a more patient running ability, understanding where he needs to line up. Marshall Faulk has changed a lot of these details. That's what we've really needed. So I know that some of you guys in the comments and who watch very consistently, you guys played football. I mean, y'all like understand what are good drills, how things are coached well. And I know that there was a lot of criticism for how the running backs have been coached in the past with some of these drills. And I haven't seen any of those same criticisms, of course, with Marshall Faulk here. I think from what I've seen, just as like a random fan, I feel like we're seeing better effort out of the running backs. We're seeing better decision making. And again, we're seeing guys like Zy Chrysler open up massive holes for these running backs to run through from time to time. So Gennaro, talking about player development on the tight end side of things now, let me talk about that. I've had some harsh words for Brett Bartoloni in the past, right? But I think Brett Bartoloni has done a good job with specifically Zach Atkins coming in here. He's made some impressive catches downfield. And a guy like Brady Kopetz, I think right now is kind of looking like that tight end too. I feel like for us, maybe Charlie Williams. Now, I still got my eye on our true freshman tight ends, but it might be a while before we see them actually integrated into real playing time. But I have loved what we've seen out of Zach Atkins. If Kane Salter and Julian Lewis have a dependable tight end, and I'm not saying Zach Atkins needs to be like an all Big 12 level tight end, but he's a guy that can block and actually run vertically. So that's going to be very helpful for this offense that, in the words of Pat Shurmur, we're going to have to be much more creative with moving the ball this year. Now, D-Time bringing up an interesting point. Is the O-line good or the D-line weak? The running game looks great. I wouldn't say that the D-line looks weak because, we did lose Chidozie Nwankwo, right? But BJ Green. But I feel like we at the edge position with Sam Okunlow and Arden Walker, those guys are going to play the run just fine. And they do have pass rushing chops. Now, who is going to fill that hole for Chidozie Nwankwo? I don't know if we entirely know yet, but I think individually, like I said, we've seen better play from Anquin Barnes, Tawfiq Thomas, Brandon Davis Swain now seems to be making an impact in his redshirt freshman year now, number 91. And then you also got guys like Amari McNeil going into his last year that are all right, it's time for me to absolutely dominate. So I think that we've seen more back and forth this fall camp with the offensive and defensive line in terms of just winning battles. And I think that's real important, man. It has not been the case in the previous camps to where there's kind of been this back and forth. Manny, you were just ahead of me, man. You were just ahead of me. I had the Tawfiq Thomas, tab up here, man. And Swayze hasn't let up discipline. And I think that we've had more discipline. I cannot wait to see what special teams looks like, by the way. We still don't know. But, yeah, I think overall there's just been a greater level of discipline. When does the team start breaking down the Georgia Tech film? You college football players let me know, but I wouldn't assume until maybe a week and a half before the game, 2 weeks before the game. I mean, you can kind of be doing it on your own, so to speak, right now. But in terms of like when you're having like actual team meetings dedicated to that, I don't think it will be more than like, a week and a half, 2 weeks before Georgia Tech, right? So, yeah, not too far away, maybe in the next, you know, week or so. Iron sharpens iron, absolutely, buddy. And Dominic Ponder, man, this would be fun to have like a little red zone package for him. Yeah, he's a big quarterback, number 22, and I think that he's had some good throws as well. I think Staub is still ahead of him on the depth chart right now, at least from like how we're seeing snaps divvied up. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of it. Man, I wish we could have done that joint practice with Syracuse. I wish we had a preseason game or two. I think that's something that the Big 12 should look at. I would just like to see us developing guys more. And the way you do that is by having more of these opportunities to play real competition. Maybe you're not necessarily playing the first stringers a bunch like in a preseason match or two, but it would be good to see what your second, third stringers can do going up against another team, man. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I think it's from Rally House. I got this hat for Christmas. And Zach Seegers has the same one. What's up, D Nice? Hope you're doing great. And Jay Hill right on the money with it. Yeah, we got a better receiver room than the Cleveland Browns. Yes, you're absolutely right. Keaton Wade, in retrospect, I wish he didn't burn that red shirt. Man, it hurts because this is his final year that we're getting out of him. And that's a bummer. But hey, it's time for him to go off. And Alpine, y'all go subscribe to Alpine Garage Sports, baby. I think Otis is underrated. Now, I don't know if Otis is necessarily going to start like I thought because of what we've seen out of guys like Barnes, Tawfiq Thomas. Of course, Amari McNeil, I think is going to be a starter in there at defensive tackle. But Jaheim Otis, I think, is going to be an integral part of this defensive line rotation. And I think, again, we got 5 dudes right there at the interior that I think that we can like really depend on, and possibly more. Yeah, D Knights, in terms of the offensive and defensive line battle, saying you want a back and forth battle, it means both sides are showing real promise, and many of the teams on our schedule won't be able to handle both our offense and our defense. Yes. And yeah, especially when we're going on the road. Like, I think that the battle that our lines are having with each other right now, I think one of the things that I want to see from this team this year, again, I'm not expecting a perfect season, and I'm not even going to put the expectation on them to go and win the Big 12, although who says we can't, right? But one thing that I don't want to see is to see us get dog walked physically, like what happened against Nebraska and against Kansas. Those 2 games particularly, man, those were hard to watch. And again, with Swayze being here, with player development going into year 3, with having both coordinators back for a second season in a row, these are things that I just want to see. Like, I'm not expecting us to win every game, but I'll tell you right now, I'm expecting us to punch back every game. I'm expecting us to be physical every game. I'm expecting us to not be checked out every game. We saw a great improvement from that from 23 to 24. And even with some of our, star players gone, that's still something that I'm expecting from a culture perspective to still be developing here and to take another jump this year, especially with the amount of upperclassmen that we still have on this team. Lady C, yes, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't. I mean, good Lord, we got 240 people in here, man. Y'all be sure to tune in 2 hours for Buff Blitz, where Russ and I will be getting together every Wednesday, so it's going to be awesome. Yeah, better believe preseason games will be allowed next year in college football. And here's the thing, man, like when you're thinking about it from the Big 12 perspective, you got to do other things to kind of try and close that gap with the earnings from the SEC and the Big 10. Now, I'm not saying preseason games are going to, close a $30 million, $20 million gap with that. They're not. But could they generate a few more $1 million of profit for each school per game? Yeah, I think so. And it could be nice. So again, the NCAA is a mess. I would almost be interested in just seeing if the conference just decides to do this as a whole and says, y'all can get after us and sue us, but we're going to counter sue, baby. And then it just, nothing ever really happens. Fan Addict Sports, y'all go subscribe to Fan Addict Sports. Got to beat the nerds from Atlanta for me. Go Dogs. Yeah, absolutely. There's only one real team in Georgia, right? And it's the Georgia Bulldogs, man. These Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, man, they're getting a little too, cocky for their place in college football, right? Right? Yellow Jackets, bees, they can't be that cocky. But man, I have loved seeing some of the early scouting that's been done by some of these Twitter accounts from Georgia Tech. Absolutely hilarious, man. It's going to be a hard-fought game, but I think that they're forgetting that. You got to come out here to Folsom on a Friday night and play at altitude against these guys that are going to be playing their heart out for Coach Prime, baby. That's right. What else we got here? No Buffing Around. Let's go. Go subscribe to No Buffing Around as well. I love all the content creators we got across YouTube, across X, TikTok, all that. Says run fits are going to be better, especially against Georgia Tech. You got to be gap sound. And this is where being in year 2 of Robert Livingston's defense is going to be really beneficial for our defensive line. Now, we do have new linebackers, but I'm confident we got Coach Hart coaching those linebackers. Imagine that, right? We got Coach Hart coaching those linebackers, man. We don't got to be worried. Yeah. O-line shouldn't be getting pushed around as much. And Hughes needs to watch film on Nakai Hill Green's run fits. No hesitation. He beats the block to the hole. Absolutely, man. Nakai Hill Green, one of the best transfers we had last year. Now, we be coming in here with an ultra spicy take. I expect the tight ends to have the most yards this season receiving. The tight end to have the most yards. Well, let's go off, man. How about it? If I'll say this, Weeby, if Zach Atkins leads this team in receiving, we're going undefeated in the regular season and going to the college football playoff, man. I'll tell you that. If Zach Atkins is putting up like freaking 1,200 yards, 13 TDs, man, baby, we're going undefeated. I'm drinking the black and gold Kool-Aid. Browns preseason, how's Shedeur going to do? I went out on a limb yesterday and just said that he was just absolutely going to kill it. I think I broke down the stats. It was like 80% completion for like 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. It probably won't be that, but I'm trying to manifest it. Let's see what else we got. Dave, are you anticipating more zone coverage this year? I don't think we're going to see the defense be too different compared to what we saw last year. And I don't think you'd want to change the scheme too much in terms of coverage. But where I think they can be a little bit better in is, in terms of, who's playing the nickel, who's playing, man-to-man coverage and safety. Like, that should not be Carter Stoutmeyer, right? We need to do a little bit better job with personnel in some of these situations. But again, we don't got Travis Hunter, but I've really loved what, Tyecrus Davis had another pick, I think, yesterday in practice. Number 9 transfer from Wyoming. Tion Parks, Noah King, number 20. I think all these guys have looked good. So Preston Hodge, DJ McKinney, I think those are going to be our guys. We'll see who rounds out the top end of that rotation. Don't forget about RJ Johnson. Damn right, Sean Camp. Hey, if you're a player needing some representation, right? Isn't Sean Camp the guy for that, right? Sean Camp? Yeah, that's right. Go Dogs, but also SCO Buffs. Now, Sean, if you can get some of those Georgia Bulldogs that might not necessarily, could you bring out some Clay Webbs over here to become all Big 12 players? That would be great. One bad play doesn't determine a player in practice. We're not able to see all the wins he's had so far. Yeah. And again, we maybe get like 8 minutes of plays, if we're lucky. We only see a sliver of things, right? And I wonder this, guys, because we were kind of leading with this after I got done talking about the defensive linemen and whatnot, about the 2-quarterback system. Hold on real quick, guys. Got to respond to this text message. Okay. I do wonder, because again, we only see selectively what Prime signs off on, right? With what Darius and Bucky are all, showcasing, Neely, whatnot. I wonder if Julian is getting reps with the ones, but they're not really showing those things. I really do wonder that. Because again, I just think both of them are going to play. I don't really know how it's going to be divvied up, but I just, I do wonder if they're not showing some things to keep some things like as a surprise against Georgia Tech. Because I think we're going to need that element of surprise a little bit as well. That's always nice when you show some things that they haven't seen before that really benefited us against TCU, a few years ago. Yeah, Zach's the dog. I've seen him, seen a block from him. Lord have mercy. Yeah, he's a good, well-rounded tight end. I think Brett Bartoloni did a good job kind of finding a diamond in the rough, so to speak. Finally, we got a transfer tight end to come in here and stay through the spring semester. About damn time, right? Is Cam hurt? I know he was in the jersey the other day, but I can't remember if we saw him on Tuesday, and I haven't watched anything practice related yet today. So if it's even been posted. D Nice. 2-part question. Any new uniform combinations this year? Will they ever incorporate a light show for the night games and fireworks? I don't think they'll ever really do fireworks, just because there always seems to be like precautionary burn bans and stuff. Most of the time, like out there, again, I don't know if you remember, this is when I was still living in Colorado years ago, but you had that fire in Boulder in, what was it, December or around New Year's, and just bad. So, but what would be really cool would be like a drone light show, like you're bringing up. I would love that. I would love for us to improve the game experience side of things. I think that we have leveled up since Coach Prime's been here, but I still think that there's a lot more to be done when it comes to creating the best like overall experience compared like to the rest of the teams in the Big 12. Like if we want to be the best, we need a new sound system. We need sorry, PA guy. I think we need a better PA guy, and we got to incorporate more consistent, like different types of cheers and chants. We don't really have much of that. I would like us to do that, as well as, Ralphie 7. So any new combinations this year? Man, I don't know. I would love to see some new combos. I would love to see a Louis Vuitton collab. I don't know if that can happen with Nike being our thing, but I would love to see some more. I know I'm in the minority on this. I would just like to see less gray. I think, lean into black, gold, and white as those primary colors. That's just me, though. Yeah, that's right, man. Sean Camp. That's right. Any player representation, right, can go through Sean Camp, and he will be sending some clay webs our way. How about that? All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up here in just a few moments. And again, at 7 p.m. Mountain, I'll be live with Russ. So, yeah, buddy saying Georgia Tech played Georgia so close last year and beat Miami. I'm thinking this is a loss week 1. I don't know what the game line is, but I do believe like Colorado is a dog at home, which like I understand. Georgia Tech is a really good team. But I just got this feeling that we're going to surprise. And I don't think, again, that these odds makers are giving us enough credit for our home field advantage, too. That's how I feel about it. RMJ, concerned about the linebacker core. What are we looking like? From the little I think that we've seen. I've really liked the plays from number 37, Martavius French, transfer from UTSA. I think Reggie Hughes has shown good sideline to sideline speed as well. Not, I think they're like a question mark, but especially with what we saw out of Coach Hart getting what he got out of guys like Nakai Hill-Green, Levanta Bentley. I feel good that I think we're going to have competent linebacker play. Now, where I get a little concerned is, what happens if we have an injury there, right? That's where I'm more concerned about. But like athletically, I've really liked what we've seen from 50 and 37. I guess to be determined right now in terms of their instincts, which is probably the biggest factor for success at the inside linebacker position, is just how you read and anticipate things. I think both of them did that very well at their respective schools at the G5 level. We'll see what they can do now playing in the Big 12. No buffing around saying, I like to see some offensive screens with our big wide receivers down the field for Q6. Could you imagine how good that offense could be if those big wide receivers bought into run blocking? Yes, and I feel like that has been an emphasis of Jason Phillips, and I think it's why you're going to see Sincere Brown, Omari Miller out there quite a lot. I think there was a play yesterday that we saw. I don't know if it was with like the ones or twos, whoever, but it was a little bubble screen to Quentin Gibson, and I forget which wide receiver was blocking in front of him, but it was wonderfully executed, and he took that thing to the house. Quentin Gibson, I think that maybe he's probably that player that is maybe most similar to Jimmy Horn, unless you guys got another idea. But yeah, I think he has Antonio Brown type, like big playmaking ability. Might be tall in stature, but plays bigger than his size. Like that's how he's always played. So I think Quentin's going to get reps this year at the wide receiver position. I don't know. I don't expect him to be towards the leader in terms of reps, right? But I think he'll definitely be getting action this year in his true freshman year. So we'll have to see. But guys, I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. It's great to do another live and start doing these more consistently now that we're deep into fall camp. So again, guys, enjoy this. Have fun with this. It's going to be a really fun year for Buffs football again. So be sure, let me know your thoughts on the replay as well. And I'll see you guys here in an hour and 40 minutes. Let's go Buffs.